Hello everyone. In this video, I'm discussing about understanding the concepts of creating web services using Terraform and building AWS infra where we attach Amazon CloudFront and different services like Amazon WebApp, S3 buckets. And there are certain steps we have to follow, including like we have creating an AWS VPC, virtual private cloud, and then we have to discussing about single domain like what is VPC and why we're creating VPC in this. Then we attach a public subnets, and then we have used the internet gateway to it for all the security groups. We have also used in this documentations. And after that, we have to create an EC2 instance where we have posted our S3 bucket on the server, and then we have used our load balancer to our web server, which we distribute the load among the different instances we have created, like instance ones, or for example, we are creating different instances for multiple instances. Apart from that, we have to create a target, and along with that, we have to creating a cloud front that speed up the distributions of static and dynamic content. Meanwhile, we have to use on the web and configure with the S3 and the load balancer. Now after that I have to show my code where we have to use it. This is my code we have used, like I have created EC2 instance, VPC, WAF, CloudFront, application load balancer. So in EC2 instances, if I've seen instance, I have seen sourcing where we have used resources like AWS instance we have to work on, and then we have to like AMI services. This is I have given a name of like var.amid. I have using a region of US each one. So resources is basically like is a declaration. Resource we are using Terraform. So resources is like a declaration we have to of advanced features, but only a subset required for initial uses. And more advanced is like we have there are syntax features we have to declare our single sources so that we have to produce multiple similar remote objects later on dash pages. So resource block declare resources of given type of AWS instances with any of the name we have provided. I have provided a local name like instance. So the name is used to refer to the resources from elsewhere in the some Terraform modules. So this is I use resources. Then I have to work on instance types. And these are my variables where my use my variable files. I have to declare everything on my variable. So that is related to my associates with public IP addresses, availability zones, and IAM instance profile, key name, security group. I have given a null in here. Then I have using a VPC security group, subnet is, and I have to have I have to use my root lock devices where I have to encrypt in my so that I have given an encrypted file so that you will not use my files over here so that anyone can see my files. So that's why I have given a false on here. Delete on termination, I have given a true here. I have to delete my files so that it will be allow me to delete all my files on a time. So I have given a true value. Then I have the volume size is already declared. I will show you how to declare it that variable. Tags, my names I have given is into productions. Then timeout is like when I have to create and 10 minutes update. So create, update, and delete I have used. So these are the things we have used in timeout. Tags, same. Then we have used resources like EBC volume, and this is my availability zone which I have mostly I have recently created my instance. Then snapshot ID. I'm not given any some snapshot ID over here. Then these are the resources, and then I have to show my variables. These are my variables where my I have default my AMI IDs, like default my which instance type I have T2 micro. Then I have to provide my social public IP should be PM, and these all are the files which I have declared here, like my subnet ID, volume size, applications. So these all are things are here. Then we have to go on my VPC. This is my VPC. Mostly VPC is a virtual private cloud. It's a secure, isolated private cloud. These are hosted within the public cloud, and we can run the code, store the data. We have to host our websites, and we have to do anything in the ordinary private cloud. But the private cloud is hosted remotely by the public cloud providers. So this is why we have used VPC so that it will create my virtual private network connection over here on my. So this is where I have to use my VPC here. Like I have given a name of my VPC. So this is my CID block we have declared on my variable. Enable host names, DNS supports. Then I have to come over my internet gateway. Internet gateway basically is a scale up, and it is very highly available in VPC component that will allow my communications between our VPC and the internet. So it supports different sort of traffic so that I have it does not cause any availability risk or any of the bandwidth constraint over network traffics. That's why we have to use internet gateway. Then we comes under then I have given a name for my IGW. This is my default. This is the name which I have given to my internet gateway. So I have declared here VPC ID. This is my VPC ID. AWC underscore VPC is a default we have to create it, and this is my name which I have given to my internet gateway dot ID. Then I have to come under like public subnet. What is public subnet? Firstly, we have to understand why would use public subnet. What is the use of public subnet? It is basically related to the route tables which I have to route our internet gateway. So this connect to the VPC to the internet and other AWS services. The private subnet is a subnet that will be associated with the route table and does not have route on the internet gateway. So this is why we have to use because private subnet can access the internet because the default route on the private subnet is not the VPC internet gateway. So it is an easy to instance configure on it. NAT instances is a public subnet with the public IP addresses we have used. So in meanwhile we have used these resources over here. So I have created two public subnets 1 and 2. Then database subnet we have created. Database subnet mostly is a group of collections of subnets. Basic typical subnets they have like different private typically networks, private networks they have created on VPC, and they have to designate like on any of the database instances. So database subnet is allow the group you have to specify on the VPC. We have to create a database instances using AWS CLI and any of the RDS API which we have created. That's why we have used database subnet. Public routes we have created. Then security group. Security group is basically in which I have given a name of SG. Name should be like TCW security group I have given. So this is declare my declare descriptions like all traffic they have allowed all ports. I have given here the names like so. These are the things like security groups means while they have to control the traffic that is allowed to reach and leave the resources that is associated with. For example, if you have to associate your security with EC2 instances, it controls the inbound and outbound traffic of that instance. So, so there's a different type of security groups like we have used HTTP, HTTPS, SSH, RDP. So these are comes under TCP protocols, and SSH will also come under TCP. So these are the security groups we have used here. Then in this I have to declare all my variable over here like because I am not adding all these services in my own single main file. So that I have to declare on my variable so that I have given the name of var.cid or var.enable DNS hostname, var.enable DNS supports, var.vpc name. So that's all are comes under to declaring my variable. So it will be easy to understand like how to where I have to create my IGW, where I have to create my route table, public route table. These all are comes under this. Like my CIDR is a default ID which I have used, and then we have to enable my VPC name which are declared here. So these all are the services which I have created in my variables. Now we have to comes under like WAF, so that we have to understand why we use WAF. So WAF is a web application. Meanwhile, it is used in AWS WAF, which is used a web application firewall. Means they will let you monitor the HTTP requests that are forwarded to our any of the secure or protected web application resources, so that we can protect the following resources of my Amazon CloudFront distributions, API gateways, and application load balance, and much more like REST APIs and different. So that will comes under on my this services. Then we have to understand like I have to all mention here like my CloudFront. These all the files which I have to declare. Now I have to comes under my CloudFront. Then I have to go to my application load balancer. This is my application load balancer. Firstly, we have to understand what is application load balancer, why would use it. Application load balancer, it makes the routing decisions for the any of the applications layer which you use on HTTP or HTTPS. So it supports the path-based routing and can route a request to one or more port on each container, like any of the cluster which I've used. So application load balancer support dynamic host port mapping. For example, if you have to task container on any of the port 80 or Nginx container, so it will host port in dynamically chosen for the particular range of that container. So we would use application load balancer on the different following. We have different types of load balancer we have used like on application load balancer, network load balancer, classic load balancer. ECS services use this type of load balancer mostly, and application load were used to route HTTP, HTTPS, or layer 7 traffics. So that's why we have to use application load balancer. So we have to create my application load balancer here. We have to provide the name, internals, load balancer type, which types we have used, security groups which are attached over here. Environment is the variable we have to use application load balancer environment tags, which I have to provide it. Now these are the commands which I have used like auto scaling group, which I've used like how to scale up my all the instances which have to failed in any of the web services which I've used. So they have to use my image ID of like which instance which I have to use. Instance type is my this. So these are the auto scaling which have connected to my load balancer. So they have to provide the maximum size of 3 and minimum size to be should be 2. Health check will be comes under the periods of 300. We have to decide the force the capacity of 2. Deletion will be true, like if it will be failed or it will be comes under high on the health check, so it will be automatically deleted. So then time duration of deletion is 20 minutes, 20 of sec parameter we have fixed on it. So these are the things. Now after that I have to now created my IAM roles. So I have to go to my AWS consoles where I have to uh, started my IAM role to run this all the services so that we have to check this my application load balancer will be working or EC2 instance my VPC is working or not. So we have to check on my console. So now I have to show my console so that you can see which work I have done using these services. This is my IAM role. Here I have to create it certainly. So IAM role is an IAM identity that you have to create in your account. That will be provider specific permissions, like it is like a provider IAM users. So in this we have to use AWS identity with the permissions policies that determine what the identity can or cannot do in AWS services. So in this we have to use the roles to access the users, applications or services. So I have given the name of test. We have to give a username over here. So I have given the name of test user 1 to 1. So I have to provide the access key. We have to use the programmatic access only. So I have to not use this password AWS management console. So it will access my all the files so that I have to provide the passwords. So now I have to attach the policies over here. We have to give the administrative access. Oh, sorry. Um, I have cancelled it. Now I have to again doing this. So I have to provide the users here. I have to again I have to add user. So add user is like where we have to provide some services, provide some permission to the particular user. These are the steps which I have to follow. Or they have to generate the access key and secret key. We have to provide the administrative access. So this all the access are given to these users. They will create one access. This is my access key ID and this is my secret key. So where I have to use on my console, which I use on my Windows PowerShell. So now I have to written AWS configure here. So AWS configure is provide a detailed view of the configurations where we have to use the access key and the secret key ID in our account. So this will include the resources related to one another and how they will configure in the previous so that they can see how the configuration and the relationships change over the time. So that's why we have to use access key and secret key. So they will then I have to provide the region which I have got. So this East one. So I have given the US East one. Default we have used JSON. Now they will be access my AWS configure. Now I have to uh, go to my this where I have my all the files are here in my drive so that this will be access on this area where I have all my files are like. So I have to do a ls. These files are not worthy for me, so I have to delete it. Now I have to use to work on Terraform init commands. Terraform init command is used to initialize the working directory containing and it containing the configuration files. So this is the first command that should be run after writing a new Terraform configurations. So that's why we have to use Terraform init. They have mostly initialized our working directory. So now they have initializing my plugins. They are successfully initialized now. Now I have to check this command so that it have to use validate command. So validate command is validate whether the configuration is syntactically valid or not. So they will check. If it is not valid, they put me an error. Otherwise, it worked properly. Yeah. The configuration is file is full. My syntactically my code is valid. So now I have to apply a command I have to use. Apply is actually create the infrastructure on AWS. They have to provide the auto approve. So they have not provide any they will ask like yes or no. So in this we have to auto approve it so that they can approve my all the files so that they will configure it. So now they have to create my infrastructure on AWS. So I have to wait on this so that it will take some time. So it will working on to creating my infrastructure. So we have to wait for some time so that it will access my all the application load balancer, security group, my route table. They have to configure my CloudFront. Now they have configured my application load balancer. Still working. So now I have to check my AWS console. Now I have to check my region. So this is my North Virginia where all my file have configured. So where I have to check this is my configurations I've been working on the configurations to go to my instance. So these two instances ASG and ASG2. So I have to delete my previous web server 1 and 2 did not work for me. Now I have to delete this server. I have to terminate this instance. So it will work only on my current instances they have. Now I have to check still creating my CloudFront distributions. I have to wait for some time. Still creating. Now it's completed. My CloudFront DNS, my application load balancer, public subnets, database subnets, all are created now. So I have to check this once my site is working. So I have to use this link and I have to open my and we have to find this is working on it. This is the page which so now it's all working. Now I have to check the still working. So these all are the things I have created in some tab and these are the files which I have created. I thought for DNS server so will be created. Thank you for watching this application web application server I have created. So this is my LBM already created. So thank you for watching.